Okay. Hey, everybody, it's Jenny here. I'm going to take a stab at recording our webinar from last night. Obviously, if you guys were on live, you know that we attempted this in multiple ways last night, and just technology was against me. So I'm going to try. I only have about 20 minutes right now to get through it, so I'm going to probably speed through it a little bit. I know a lot of you, we had 25 of you on live. So I'm hopefully just going to kind of recap what we talked about last night so that we have this recorded for future reference. But tonight we're talking about getting coaches started right. Okay, so I'm sharing my screen. I'm going to go ahead and try to make this a slideshow view, possibly. Let me just see if this will work. Oops, I'm clicking on the wrong thing. Okay. Okay, so tonight like I said, we're talking about getting coaches started right. So essentially what you're gonna do as soon as you sign a coach, right? How you're gonna handle them, how you're gonna lead them, and how you're gonna bring them to their fullest potential with the business. So of course, everything we do is Body Electric style. You know I'm gonna keep it really real with you, really honest. But first, I wanna make sure we talk about some announcements. The first thing is, if you're watching this live, or if you're watching this in the month of February, you know that we only have now 4 days left of the Team Cup. So our focus needs to be on securing that 3 Lives Club and helping 3 people with a challenge pack before the month ends. So anything I can do to help you, please reach out and let me know, or reach out to your upline, because truly it is the difference maker in your business. It is sort of the benchmark for progress in the business. So let's focus on Team Cup as we round out February. The next thing I want to mention is our Insanity certification is happening at my studio, which is Revolution X in Fishers, Indiana. So we're about 20 minutes north of Indianapolis. And that is happening on Saturday, March 19th. I just realized the date is not on here, but it is Saturday, March 19th. Of course, it's like a 9 to 5 certification. And I know for a fact that if they're not already sold out, it's very, very close. So if you're considering getting certified, this is your opportunity. I also know that we're kind of thinking about hosting a P90X certification, which would happen in April. I'm kind of waiting to hear details from the master trainer for that. So as for now, you know, if you're thinking about getting certified, take advantage of the Insanity Cert. So that's insanitycertification.com or insanitylive.com. So also we have a launch month coming up in March. Some of you who've been around for a while know that we have a recorded webinar on taking advantage of a launch month. So maybe now is a good time to check that webinar out to make sure that you're doing everything possible to promote 22-minute hardcore and to hit your 3 Lives Club early in the month of March. So 22-minute hardcore is our next program launching. We've been told March 1st, but then I know that the FAQ does not have an official date. So I'm hoping it's March 1st. I have not heard either way, but essentially 22-minute hardcore is going to be, I think, our most legit workout program, where the workouts are short, where they're nice and short, 22 minutes long. So it's sort of a military vibe, obviously. And the program itself is 8 weeks. I have a blog post written about it on our Body Electric website. I recommend sharing that blog post. Go ahead and start hyping up 22-minute hardcore now, so that you're not waiting for it to launch to be educating people about it. So be talking about it now so that you can really make your invitations, of course, when the product launches. So Super Sunday, I'm calling it Super Sunday because it's usually Super Saturday, but we've decided to have it on Sunday, April 3rd. So that's happening again, Sunday, April 3rd from 1 to 4 p.m. in the afternoon at the Ritz-Charles in Carmel. I know we're going to be doing a hybrid workout. Julie Voris is not in town for it, so it's going to be a combination of, I think, 3 or 4 different instructors who are going to be leading a hybrid workout, which should be pretty cool. I also know that we're going to have a theme, so I believe it's going to be a camo theme to support the 22-minute hardcore program release. So it should be a really fantastic time. I will be leading a training after Super Saturday ends. We've decided to add on and do a little extra training, and so they've asked me to lead a little bit of training on inviting to challenge groups, as well as some personal development. So it should be a really fantastic day, and definitely worth your buck if you want to ask my opinion. Also, not our team summit, but just as cool, Beachbody Summit, which is thousands of coaches who convene annually in Nashville, Tennessee. That's happening July 28th through the 31st, which I know right now you're thinking, Jenny, that's like 5 months away. But you honestly have got to get registered. You've got to get on the wait list right now, because if you're not on the wait list now, you might not come off the wait list. I've been told by our events team with Beachbody Corporate that most everybody should get off the wait list if they registered in January. So obviously now you're kind of pushing your luck if you've not registered yet. So worst case scenario, you don't go, but get on the wait list. You have the opportunity to be there live workouts with our celebrity trainers. We get to hear from the CEO and the VP. We get to hear from top coaches. There's workshops, and there's, of course, a whole lot of fun. So get on the wait list for that. Nashville is only 4 hours away for most of us here in Indiana, so it should be non-negotiable. So let's dive into our topic for tonight. Like I said, I just want to make sure we have something recorded on our website for people to refer to at any point. But I really want to focus tonight on what happens when you sign a coach. So what are the next action steps that you need to take to ensure that you're leading that coach in the right way and in the right direction? So my 3 main takeaways for you tonight are, number 1, to focus on their why and their goals. So don't make it about you. If you're having a getting started call with your new coach and you're worried about your advancement or your rank advancement, or if you're thinking that they're going to treat the business with the same goals that you do, you're sorely mistaken. So make sure that your focus is on them, on what they want to get out of the business and what their goals are. Number 2, as far as takeaways, should be that you should only be giving energy where you're receiving energy. So you should only be, you shouldn't necessarily be calling and nagging your coaches. They should be interested in building the business. They should be interested in coming to you for advice and to meet with you. So we're going to talk about that more in depth, but just know that energy should be given where it's received. And then last but not least, as far as takeaways, clarity is over communication. I've learned that over the years, that the more I'm redundant, the more I over communicate, the clearer things are. So it's more important for you to just pick 1 or 2 things to focus on in starting your new coach, especially in that initial conversation, and really just over communicating and repeating yourself through that conversation. That's more important than covering a broad spectrum of things, because we all know it can be overwhelming as a new coach. It can be overwhelming for them to come in to the team page, to the team training, to have a coach online office, and they get a challenge pack in the mail. There's a lot of stuff involved, right from the get-go. So what we want to make sure we do is, as leaders for them, is that we simplify the process. We want to make sure that we're telling them exactly where they need to be focusing their time. So over-communicate as their leader. That's going to be the best way to be clear with them. So the first step after you've signed a coach is to, of course, welcome them to the team. So that means, posting a photo. I know you guys probably already know this, but post a photo of your new coach on our team page to welcome them. And make sure that, I also want you to know to make sure that you're adding all of your coaches to the team page. So even if it's somebody who they just want a discount for now, don't neglect them. Don't keep them out of the team page. I remember a top coach telling me that, she's like, we ask all of our coaches to add all of their coaches to the team page, because you never know when a discount coach might decide to work the business. And most of the time, why does a discount coach decide to work the business? Because they're exposed to the opportunity, they're exposed to the true potential and the people who are working the business. So, even if you have your mom or your Aunt Susie and they're just a discount coach, add them to the team page. It's just as important for you to introduce a little bit about your new coach to our team as it is for you to then, in the same post, educate your new coach on what it is you're doing. Okay, this is Susie. Everybody meet Susie. She's a stay-at-home mom. She lives in Fort Wayne, Indiana. She's really excited to take on Size and Shakeology. She's really getting started with the discount. Susie, I just wanted to let you know this is my team page. This is where we keep each other accountable. We also talk business here. So if you ever decide to turn this into an opportunity, this is the place where you'll plug in, right? So you'll see me do that when I make my new coach announcements, just because I want to make sure that not only am I exposing this person and a little bit about who they are to you guys, to the team, but that I'm also letting them know who this team is and what this page exists for, okay? So I think that that's really, really important. So the second step after you've welcomed them to the team, I typically do this within about 24 to 48 hours of enrollment, because typically when a new coach signs, they're really excited. They're really excited because they've made the purchase. They're excited to kind of dig in and dive in. And so why wait? Why would I wait another week to get back to them on what we're going to do next? So the first thing that I do after I welcome them is I send them the welcome email. You guys can find the welcome email and the associated files that go with that email You can find those on our website, which is, of course, thebodyelectric.us. It's just a welcome email template. You can obviously put your new coach's name in, but it should be pretty easy to use and repurpose. So you'll send them that welcome email. The welcome email includes some other documents, including how they should go about introducing their coaching endeavor on their social media. There's sort of a bulleted basics FAQ document for them to refer to. So it's just kind of giving them, it's simplifying all the things that we know that they could dive into. It's simplifying everything into what they need to know right away. Okay, so it's really important that you do that. The third step in this process is then to require that they then give energy back to you. So you've welcomed them to the team, you've then given them documentation, and you've given them an email to welcome them, and you've in that email identified that they need to respond to you with a completed About Me form. So the About Me form is included in your welcome email, and so now it's kind of up to them to fill out that About Me form and get it back to you before you really move forward. And I just want to make sure I drive this home. I'm going to be really redundant here because it's important. I do not schedule a call or appointment with my new coaches until they submit me their completed About Me form. Okay, I think it's extremely important because even if I think they're going to do it, even if I just really want them to do it, even if I think they're going to be a rock star, or if I assume that they're going to do it, I don't assume. I've learned the hard way not to assume anything. So I want to make sure that I give energy where I'm getting it in return. So I therefore require it from them. So to give you an example, I sometimes have members of my studio who decide to become coaches. I see them on a daily basis. They come in to sweat with me and work out with me. And they say, oh, I really want to do coffee, or do you have an hour tomorrow that we could sit down and chat? And I tell them, you know what? I would love to chat. If you would just fill out that About Me form, we could get something scheduled. So I'm a very big stickler when it comes to requiring that to move forward. Sorry, my throat's dry. Okay, so the fourth step in the process then is when you get the About Me form back, it's important that you take the time to read it, not just scroll through it on your phone, but to actually maybe even print the document itself and to maybe even take some notes on it to really dive into what drives the person, what their goals are in the business, and what their hesitations are. Those questions are asked in the About Me form. We need to take the time to actually read those answers. I personally print the About Me forms. I keep them in a folder here on my desk. That way, 3 months down the road, if I'm working with Susie and she's kind of lost some motivation, I can go back to what drove her to sign up in the first place. I can look back at what inspired her about the opportunity, and I can take that to her. So after they send me their About Me form, I print it off, I read it thoroughly, and then I ask them for a time that we can chat. And I intentionally ask them to chat either over the phone or here on Zoom, and I tell them, do you have 15 minutes for us to do a quick call? I always make sure I indicate to them that the call is going to take no more than 15 minutes. On average, my getting started calls are typically about 7 to 10 minutes at most. Okay, so it should not be this like hour-long appointment or this huge time commitment for you. If you're somebody who is working full-time, perhaps this is something that you schedule for your drive home or your drive to work or something like that. So it should not be a huge obligation, and you shouldn't necessarily feel like you have to know everything to have a call like this. So that's where we get to sort of the meat and potatoes of getting a coach started. So they've reciprocated the energy back to you. They sort of know, in simple terms, what they need to know to get started. Of course, there needs to be a bridge between that welcome email and getting them into Coach Basics. And that is a face-to-face Zoom call or phone call to address questions that they have and to really make sure that you drill home 3 main points. So this is the way that I handle my getting started call. I've probably had over 200 of them, and I've learned what works and what doesn't work. And I can tell you that this has been working well for me. Okay, so the first 5 minutes-ish, doesn't have to be 5 minutes, but the first segment of the phone call, I really focus on just getting to know them. I ask them questions about where they live or their spouse or what they do for a living. I really just reinforce my excitement for them in taking the step to become a coach. So I tell them, I'm so excited that you decided to do this. Are you just so excited? And I really build that excitement for them because I want them to know they made the right decision and that I'm really excited that they're here. So then we get into the meat and potatoes. I'm going to walk you through a sample conversation. But we get into sort of the reason for the call, which is I give them their first goal. And you probably won't find many coaches saying something like, I give my coaches a goal. But if you're on this team, you know that I really like to offer you a goal, because in most cases we tend to be too comfortable. So the goal that I give them is, of course, 3 Lives Club. I tell them, you know, you've probably seen some things in the team page about 3 Lives Club, and I want to make sure that I cover that with you so that you're aware of what it is and how you're going to kind of utilize that to advance your business forward. Okay. And then after we go over that, then of course I wrap up by telling them that the next step for them, again, I'm kind of putting the energy back into their court. The last step, of course, is for them to complete the Coach Basics training. So there's information about Coach Basics in the welcome email. So of course, they already kind of have heard about it already. Some of them at that point have already kind of checked it out. But I end the conversation letting them know that that is the next action step to move us forward. Okay, and of course, my personal preference is I keep a box of the Compound Effect. I buy them in bulk. So I have like 25 copies of the Compound Effect. And then anytime I sign a new coach, I mail them a copy of that book. And I tell them on the Getting Started call that they're going to be getting a book from me in the mail. And so you can do that, or you can simply, if you don't want to invest, you know, the money in the books yourself, you of course have the option to just recommend for them. I have a book recommendation that I'd love you to pursue and give them your book recommendation. So I always make sure that I incorporate personal development, whether I'm giving it to them or whether you've decided that you're going to just recommend it for them. Make sure that the personal development is factored in. So let's walk through a sample Getting Started call. And I have the PowerPoint. I've already uploaded the PowerPoint to our team page and also to the website. So this script itself can be accessed for you anytime you want. So if you're having a Getting Started call, why not print this off so you have sort of a guideline to follow? So you can read it on your own. I'm not going to read it word for word, but basically, you know, the first few minutes I spend with some small talk. I ask them about, I let them know that this is going to be a quick call. I share my excitement with them about how excited I am for them to be doing this coaching thing. And I make small talk with them about their family. And then I transition from that to giving them their first goal. I start getting into the meat and potatoes by saying something to the effect of, okay, so let's really talk about what your first goal should be in this business. Okay. And they're like, okay, great. Because they're just ready for you to guide them. They're just ready for you to tell them what to do. So I tell them, okay, so your first goal really needs to be 3 Lives Club. Have you seen anything about that? Have you might have seen some things on the team page. And most of the time, my new coaches will say, yeah, actually, I was wondering what that is. I saw something posted in the team page and I wasn't sure. And so then I just kind of go over it with them. I tell them that 3 Lives Club is helping 3 people per month with a challenge pack. I tell them that it's, even though we call it 3 Lives Club, I tell them that Beachbody calls it Success Club, just so that they know that it's the same thing if they hear it in different terms. And I tell them, you know, really in the broad scheme of things, compared to a lot of other businesses, helping 3 people per month with a challenge pack is extremely doable. And it leads to a lot of different rewards. It's the first benchmark in moving your business forward. It can get you, you know, free trips and that kind of thing, but essentially it means you're making a true difference. So I set that up for them. I let them know that that is their first goal. I ask them if they have any questions. I like to solidify that segment of the conversation by saying, does that make sense? And typically they say, yes, that absolutely makes sense. From there, I just kind of wrap it up and I say, okay, great. So the next step really is for you to dive into our Coach Basics training. Did you see the information that was in the welcome email? And they say, yes, I saw that. Or no, I didn't. And you say, okay, great. Well, the password and everything is included in the welcome email. So what I would like for you to do is I'd like for you to go through Coach Basics. It's about 10 videos. It might take you a weekend or it might just take you a couple hours, depending on what you choose to do. And then once you get through that video training, if you wouldn't mind reaching out to me and letting me know that you've completed it, then we can set up another call and I can answer questions. And they're like, oh, great, perfect. The only other thing that I throw in here that I don't think I mentioned here on this script is I do often tell them to make sure they come to me with any questions. If they have someone interested in Shakeology or interested in coaching or interested in a challenge pack, don't try to figure it out on your own. And I will tell them, do not try to figure out how to handle that conversation on your own. Send me a screenshot, set up another time for us to chat specifically about that person. It's not like I'm unavailable to you until you finish Coach Basics. I want to help you as you're starting, but certainly that is our first action step. Okay. So of course, after your call, then it's up to you to follow through on the things that you've promised them. You've got to mail them the book if you told them you were going to mail them the book. You've got to add them to a Coach Basics group if you told them you were going to add them to a Coach Basics group or challenge group. Okay, so you got to follow through on the things that you promised them. I say that because I actually had, early in my Beachbody career, I had a lot of getting started calls, and I would forget to add somebody to a challenge group, or I would forget to mail them the book, or I would forget to do those things. And so it's super important that obviously you give back the energy that you're receiving, right? It goes both ways. It has to be 50-50. And then last but not least, when they've completed Coach Basics and they've let you know, then you can schedule another call where you can again repeat yourself on the importance of 3 Lives Club, and you can start to talk about their next goal being Emerald. Okay, so 3 Lives Club's always first. Emerald is, of course, the next step. So an overview of what we've talked about tonight. Always keep it simple. That's what we're doing. When you really think about how can I best lead my coaches, it really comes down to how can I simplify this for my coaches, because making things simple is duplicatable. Making it complicated is not so duplicatable. We are a duplicatable business. Okay, if you're a new coach and if you're listening to this webinar right now and you're a brand new coach yourself, you just had your getting started call, it feels like, and you're signing a new coach yourself. Do not feel like you have to do it alone. Involve your upline. Let your upline handle the conversation. Do a 3-way call. That's really the best way for you to learn, okay? Remember that over-communicating is clarity. And of course, remind them to reach out to you with questions if they need help handling conversations, etc. But I also want to put the disclaimer in there that you let them know, hey, I'm here to help you. I might not respond to you within 5 seconds of your message, but I will help you. Okay, so I like to set that up just because it used to be that I would respond to people immediately, and that sort of set myself up for failure when it came to building a large team, where now I have a lot of people messaging me and wanting immediate responses. So I'm just giving you that sort of caveat, that let them know that you're available to help them, but that you might not be able to help them in an urgent situation. Okay, so that's all I have. Of course, we did have a Q&A live last night. But since this is recorded, we will just wrap it up here. So if you have any questions specifically about getting coaches started, feel free to reach out to your upline, reach out to me, or, take some great notes from this webinar, take a look at the documents we have on our team page. And I know that you can make this happen. I know you can become a great leader. I know that you can get your coaches started and on their way to success. So thank you guys so much for being on here tonight, for checking out the recording. And I will talk to you soon. Thanks, guys.